So, when you hear about one of those massive nine-figure crypto hacks, what's the first thing you think of? A broken network, some fundamental flaw in the code? Well, the truth is, almost all of the biggest heists in crypto history, they have almost nothing to do with the technology you'd think is at risk. Stick around, and I'm going to show you where the real danger is. And trust me, it's not where you think.
Okay, let's just jump right in. A headline flashes across your screen. Huge crypto hack. And suddenly, hundreds of millions of dollars have just vanished. Where does that money actually get stolen from? Do you think it's from the blockchain itself? Well, you might want to think again.
Here's the kicker. The answer in pretty much every single major hack you've ever heard about is not the core technology. It's a really subtle but absolutely critical distinction that honestly changes everything. And once you get it, you'll see the entire crypto world in a whole new light.
And that brings us to what I like to call the crypto security illusion. See, we're all so focused on how strong the blockchain is that we completely miss the huge, glaring vulnerability that's staring us right in the face. It's a blind spot that has cost people billions of dollars. It's kind of a paradox, right? The biggest, most established crypto networks out there are also the most secure. So, if the networks themselves are so tough to crack, where are all these losses coming from? Well, the answer isn't in the network, it's in what's built on top of it. To really wrap your head around this, we need to make one simple but super important distinction. We got to talk about the difference between the foundation and the building itself. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so think of the base blockchain. We're talking the core protocol of something like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Think of that like the deep, concrete foundation of a giant skyscraper. It's ridiculously strong, it's reinforced, and it is built for one thing above all else: stability. And then you have the application layer. This is all the stuff that's actually built on top of that foundation. These are the apps you use, the exchanges you trade on, the tools you interact with every day. So one is the bedrock, and the other is the sprawling, bustling city built right on top of it. And believe me, they have completely different risk profiles.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. I mean, just look at this breakdown. The data is crystal clear. The overwhelming majority of money that gets lost in crypto doesn't come from cracks in that foundation. Nope. It comes from shaky applications, insecure exchanges, and buggy bridges. All the buildings that were constructed on top.
All right, let's look at some real-world examples, because this is where you can really see the pattern in action. And the evidence for this is just incredibly consistent. And we absolutely have to start with the best, most extreme example of a resilient base layer out there, Bitcoin. I mean, the stats here are just mind-blowing. In more than a decade of constant operation, 24/7, the Bitcoin network itself has never, ever been hacked. Not once. Every single transaction has been validated exactly as it should be. And its secret? It's just brutally simple. It has this rigid design that leaves almost no surface area for an attack.
And this is the thing to remember. Every single time you read a headline about Bitcoin being stolen, I can almost guarantee you it's a story about a hacked exchange or someone's personal wallet getting compromised. That's an application layer failure. The foundation, the Bitcoin network itself, just keeps humming along, completely untouched. Okay, so what about Ethereum? It's the engine behind decentralized finance, a way more complex system. But you know what? The exact same security pattern holds true. So just like Bitcoin, Ethereum's core network has never been compromised. It's a rock-solid foundation. But, and this is a huge but, its application layer is like the Wild West. It's full of amazing innovation, but also, unfortunately, a ton of exploits. This is where you get those nine-figure hacks from things like faulty smart contracts, which are basically just automated digital agreements with a bug in them, or from these vulnerable cross-chain bridges that are supposed to let you move assets between blockchains. The foundation is safe, but the city built on top, yeah, it can be a pretty dangerous place. Now, let's talk about another really critical piece of this whole security puzzle that, honestly, most people just completely overlook. It's not actually a blockchain, but the entire crypto ecosystem kind of depends on it to function. So Chainlink is different. It's not a blockchain. It's more like a data pipeline. It's the infrastructure that bridges the gap, feeding vital real-world information, like the current price of an asset, directly into those smart contracts. And you can imagine, right? If that data is wrong or gets manipulated, protocols can make some seriously catastrophic decisions. So here's the genius part about how Chainlink works. It doesn't pretend that it can eliminate risk entirely. Instead, it just manages it brilliantly. It pulls data from a whole bunch of different sources. It has this big network of independent verifiers all checking that data. And only then does it deliver the final answer to the smart contract. It's all about security through decentralization and redundancy. So once people really started to understand this whole idea of layered risk, it led to this really fascinating evolution in how blockchains are designed. We're seeing a whole new generation of networks that are being built from the ground up to manage and contain failure. And this slide just captures that shift in thinking perfectly. See, the old way was to build one giant, monolithic system where one crack could bring the whole thing down. The new way, pioneered by projects like Polkadot with its parachains or Avalanche with its subnets, is to build a network of smaller, independent systems that all share security. That way, if one part has a problem, it doesn't spread and take down the entire ecosystem. It's kind of like having digital firewalls between different neighborhoods in a city. This table really drives the point home, you know? Security isn't just one thing. Each of these projects has a different philosophy, a different trade-off. Bitcoin's got that brutal simplicity, which makes it super secure but not very flexible. Ethereum went for maximum flexibility, which created this huge, innovative world on top of it, but also opened up a way bigger attack surface on that application layer. And then you've got these newer projects like Polkadot trying to get the best of both worlds with a modular design. Each philosophy comes with its own set of pros and cons. So this brings us all the way back around to our main point, and it totally reframes that first question we asked about where the real danger in crypto is hiding. So let's just go ahead and put that myth of the unhackable crypto to bed for good. The reality is, while the foundations of these networks are incredibly strong, the real, tangible risk is almost always in the stuff that gets built on top. Security isn't about one single feature, it's about the entire structure of the system. Seriously, the goal should not be to go searching for some perfect, invulnerable crypto project. That's a fool's errand. It just doesn't exist. So from now on, when you're looking at a crypto project, don't ask, is it safe? Instead, ask a much smarter question. How does it manage and distribute its risk? Because in this world, risk never, ever disappears. It just moves. And knowing where to look, well, that's the most powerful security tool you can possibly have.